Hi, and welcome to everyone joining us at Whole Soul School and Foundation's Ancient Voices for the New Earth podcast series with Marie Moeller and Earthkeeper Selina Mu. Together, we are shining a light on the collective awareness that we are all a part of a much greater whole. And together, with our positive and light-filled intentions, we can co-create a better, brighter, kinder, and happier life and daily experience for all beings on this beautiful Earth planet. Earthkeeper Selina Mu is with us today. She is an ancient healer and spiritual mentor. Selina is a vision keeper that has come to restore an ancient Indigenous medicine way, honoring the sacred feminine held deep in Mother Earth's center, linked to the stars, and holding the original instructions for the healing of self and earth. Selina has been called upon by Creator, Mother Earth, and the Ancient Ones to bring us back to the truth of all that we are in our oneness with nature and all that is. This is a most powerful sacred pathway to spiritual awakening and healing for all that are ready to receive. Selina, welcome.
Good morning to you, Marie. And I send out a warm greeting to those who are listening to this podcast as well. It's good to be with you again.
Wonderful. Yes, I'm excited to continue our conversations today. I found myself just feeling so enriched by what we've been talking about, and I look forward to continuing that connection.
Yes, as well. And there's much to talk about. There's so much that is to be shared in this time of awakening and all that is happening upon the earth and within us. So
yes.
Let us begin. I'm ready.
Yes. Well, will you start us with a prayer to connect us with the Earth Mother and with each other?
Certainly. So I invite those listening to this podcast to join with me in simply centering with the intention to center ourselves and to bring ourselves into alignment with higher self. So the way we're going to do that today is I invite you to send out an invocation, an intention to the universe through your heart space by simply centering upon your heart center, and through that center, see a beautiful ball of light at the center of your chest. You can imagine that and simply send out an intention to the universe and to Mother Earth that you wish to be aligned with them now. And send that intention deep into the earth by taking a deep exhale and sort of seeing a light going into the earth, and then another deep inhale and sending that light up out into the universe, into the galaxy in which we live, so that light is going down into the Earth's mother's crust and up into the stars. And with the intention that we're coming together, our hearts together as one as well, to receive that which is to be shared with us by Mother Earth today, through her divine will for herself and for her children. As we are part of nature, we are part of her. We come together once again in one consciousness. And so it is.
And so it is. That was I felt enfolded in a beautiful circle of light with that prayer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, well, Selina, as we continue our conversation and inner attunement to the ancient voices for the new earth, I'm wondering if you can introduce us to the Mother Earth that you know deeply.
Mm. Yes, I will begin by sharing, how in my journey with coming to know our precious Mama. I call her Mama. I was on a journey of seeking, not knowing what, just knowing that I was seeking to know myself, to know my purpose, to know my reason for being. And I kind of, in a way, stumbled upon this connection with our mother. I was raised in a community where there was no talk of Mother Earth or anything like that. I just knew that I loved being with the trees and with the earth, and being outside in nature was an important part of my life as a child growing up. And I always felt that. But it was never spoken of. It was simply something that we did.
Yes.
We lived in nature.
Yes.
And so then I came to a period in my life where I was removed from nature, removed from that which gave me such centeredness in my being. I could always go to the trees. It wasn't until that was taken from me and I was brought to inner city life that I understood how much my time upon the earth, how important that was to my well-being.
Yes.
It just simply was how we existed. And it wasn't until I was removed from that existence that I started to slip into a way of being that was not natural to me.
Yes.
And I went deeper and deeper and deeper in that as I was moved to live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, for Canadians out there or those who might be somewhat familiar with Canada. I am from Canada, and this is my home. So I'm brought to the inner city, and began to forget about Mama. Began to forget about the trees. As I got swallowed into this other existence of busyness and loudness and noise and concrete. And I got lost in that and found myself separated from that which helped me to be myself, to be organically alive and feeling my senses. Because what happens when we are in an environment that is unnatural to us, our body's natural defense is to shut down, to protect from it, from the noise, from the pollution, from being around a lot of people. We start to shut down. And that's what happened to me.
Wow.
And I eventually got lost and forgot who I was, and eventually would come up out of that as a correction, if you will, occurred. I found my way back, and I found my way to a spiritual group, a sacred circle of people, and a spiritual teacher. And the first time I heard the words spoken, Mother Earth, I clung to her. I just went right, oh my goodness. It was a remembrance that happened deep within my being.
Yes.
And I committed to her in that moment, I will not leave you again. No matter where I am, I will always be with you. And you are my mother. So it was a natural coming back to me. And I just felt it in every particle of my being. And so I went on this journey to this endeavor to strengthen this relationship with the earth. And I would spend time in nature, and I found myself getting stronger again. I found myself coming back into a place of inner strength and inner connection with me and with the natural environment around me. And eventually I knew that it was time for me to leave city life.
Yes.
And move back to being closer to nature. That was how strong a hold it had on me. And so going within into this deeper inner relationship with Mother Earth, I went very deep, and I established a reconnection with her that was very powerful and very strong. And I came to understand that there is within nature and within the earth, there are divine intelligences within nature, within the trees, within the waters. There is a divine intelligence that is directing all of it.
Yes.
And I found my relationship with Creator strengthening as I strengthened my relationship with nature. That divine intelligence that is within us, that exists within the earth, exists within the trees, and we are a part of it. We are not separate. And I came to understand that Mother Earth herself has a intelligence, that a divine intelligence, a natural intelligence that we can access.
Yes.
And we can go there and we can connect and be guided, experience from different realms. It's accessing a different realm and a different way of being from our normal way of communicating with each other. We can access different realms of communication with the universe.
Yes.
Not only with the earth, but with the universe and with the stars and with intelligences that exist within the cosmos.
Yes.
And it was my journey and my intention to access that ability and to develop it. And when I made that commitment to myself, Mother Earth appeared to me as a guide in how to do so. That is how my relationship with her came back to be. It was like as a child, I had it just naturally, innately, and then it was forgotten as I got caught in the web of this 3D life that we live.
Yes.
And then the emptiness of that, I found my way back to the intelligence inside of nature and the healing power of inside of nature. And I found my way to Mother Earth. She is a being that we can connect with, that we can attune to that frequency of life.
Yes.
And receive from it and give. It is a natural part of who we are as human beings here upon the earth. It is a part of our nature that we can turn on and tap into, align with, and to help us to remember who we are, to help us to heal our mind, body, spirit, in whatever capacity that we are shown as we make this connection. And we can begin a step at a time, but there is a powerful force in nature that has intelligence that we can access. And that is what I've done. And in reconnecting with Mother Earth and experiencing her as the intelligence that she is, she has revealed to me this ancient healing way that she asked that I bring back to those who would seek to know their connection with creation as part of nature.
Yes.
And not separate. So,
Exactly.
It's been a very central part of my spiritual awakening, is coming back into oneness with the earth and all of nature. And
Yes.
what I'm being guided to share with others is that as we are awakening to the truth of who we are as spiritual beings, that awakening is bringing us back into this connection that we have with ourselves through our heart, connecting with the forces of nature. I started having dreams, and I'll give you an example. One time I had an animal guide come to me. So people talk about their totem animals and their animal guides, and I have this, and we do have that.
Yes.
But I think a lot of times people take it at a surface level. It is truth. We have helpers that are animals that we are aligned with. That is a part of reclaiming our connection with nature, is reclaiming those that are alliances that we have.
Yes.
With nature, reclaiming that. We have alliances with animals. We have specific alliances with specific trees. We have alliances with bodies of water that just when we go there, when we connect, that's where our strength can be brought up to its height when we do that.
It's more than just entertainment. It's really, like, as you said, an energetic alliance and support system that many of us have journeyed in our own separation away from, but it's a coming home to that level of support in all of these realms.
Absolutely. And I think that many people relate that to, perhaps the, Indigenous peoples have always had this connection. It was not broken. It was
cultivated.
Yes. And it was recognized for the significance of one's well-being, how important it was. It was given its proper place in one's well-being upon the earth in a central way.
Yes.
One always relied upon that connection to live safely and harmoniously.
Yes.
And you see Indigenous cultures all over the world with that appropriate respect for the earth and our relationship to the earth. Because our DNA is made up of the same material that the material and the matter that the earth is made from.
Yes.
It's configured a little differently so that we have this human body, but the earth's body is the same matter and we come from that matter, our physical body.
Yes.
Our spiritual body is cosmic in nature, universal, but our physical body, that is made up of the matter of the earth. And that is why it's so important that we return to alignment with that, into oneness with that, and into the appropriate respect of that and understanding. For it is our way back. It is the pathway back to oneness.
Yes. If I can share here, when you were sharing your story about, when you were a child, you organically were connected.
Yes.
It was just a part of who you were and who you knew yourself to be. And yet in your journey, and you moved more to a city type environment, in that contrast, you could feel the difference, that a part of you was, I don't know if you had a consciousness that it was disconnecting, but you could sense that a part of you was changing at the very least. And I find that in all of our lives, when we go through a period of contrast, we often then, when it's time to come around full circle, we can have a greater appreciation for what we're returning to. And so when you later joined that community and somebody mentioned Mother Earth, a whole part of your being seemed to come back to life again. Right? I had tears when you were sharing that story.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think I had a similar experience myself. And I wonder if many of our listeners are in some phase of that journey too, of the returning to what we remember. And even in just being a part of this conversation and listening to what we're talking about today, that may be an activation point for some people to say, gosh, what they're talking about feels so good to me. There's something in the connection they're speaking about is something that I know is inside me, and we're all seeking it. Right. So I think the blessing is having an awareness at some point that we did have that connection, and then we do leave it for a time. We leave it for a time often to experience what it's like to not have that connection. And then at some point in our life journeys, we are summoned back to reconnect and to become, form those alliances and connections with who we really are.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a calling. And,
yes.
And yet what happens is that when the call comes, many do not recognize that that's what it is.
Yes.
They're struggling to understand, what is it that's compelling me to seek something? I don't know. Where do I turn? What do I do? What is this? They don't recognize it because these frequencies have become scrambled in this being bombarded by so many distractions.
Yes.
That
and
when
struggle. Yes.
that we cannot get to that place of inner remembrance to pick up the signal, like, what is that?
Yes.
Until something cataclysmic might happen, a catalyst of some sort. And yet, what I would say to you is that let us set an intention for all who may hear this podcast and listen to this message. Let us send an intention now to Creator and to the universe and to the divine ones that can help.
Yes.
That the field of remembrance embrace all who are here and wishing or open to receiving that deeper connection again with self, with the earth, with the universe. Let us simply call upon those divine beings of light and the universal consciousness and the earth mother consciousness to help.
Yes.
Uplift this message to those that are listening, who are ready to receive and open to receive it. May they be blessed in this moment.
Yes.
And so I would like to share with you part of the experience of my forgetting and then remembering.
Yes.
When I was a child, I would have what I can now understand as a spiritual experience, some would say, or cosmic occurrence. My third eye would open. And I was a child. I never spoke of it to anyone. I never knew or heard of anything like that. So I just thought it was something with a part of me. But when I'd be always outdoors, I'd always be in nature, climbing a tree. I was very much a tomboy. I loved being out in nature, and I would climb trees, and I would be climbing rocks, and I'd be, just give me something to keep me busy like that, and I could go for hours. And when I would be deep in play like that, deep in play, my inner eye would open, and I would have this powerful vision.
Wow.
And it was always the same vision. I would see myself into the future.
Wow.
Yes, it was very powerful. And but now I reflect upon what it was I was seeing, and I was seeing myself being who I am now, doing this work, being self-realized.
Wow.
Yes, but I didn't understand it as a child. I thought, first of all, I thought I looked really old. As a child, I'm seeing myself older, and I look so old. And I would have all my sacred things around me, but I didn't know what those things were. I'm just looking, and I would be fascinated. It was literally like watching a movie.
Yes.
It was like the TV, and I would always feel it. I would feel this buzzing kind of feeling, sensation at the center of my forehead. And I thought, oh, the movie's coming back. And I would stop whatever I was doing, and I would watch the movie.
Wow.
And it would always be of me, but it wasn't so much what I looked like, Marie, that stayed with me. It was how I felt.
I was going to say it was a feeling.
I'm a child. I'm 4 years old, 5 years old, right up until the age of 13. I would have this recurring vision.
Wow.
And it would always be the same. It never altered.
Wow.
And I would be sitting there in a peaceful way. I was peaceful, but deeper than that, I was powerful.
Yes.
It was my power that was radiating out, that would stop and take my breath away as I'm looking at this movie, at me.
Yes.
Thinking, wow, look at her, look at me, look at me. And I would see it. And then I'm going to share with you that at the age of 13, one day I had that sensation, that fuzzy feeling at my forehead. And I thought, oh, the movie's coming back. It's coming. And I stopped. Only this time it was different. This time, instead of seeing me into the future, instead what I literally saw, a curtain, a veil, come down slowly, and cover the movie screen.
Oh no.
And and halfway down, it wasn't until it was halfway down that I realized what was happening, that the movie was going away.
Yes.
Not only the movie, but the screen.
Yes.
And this sadness came over me as a child. I remember the sorrow.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, don't go, don't go, don't go.
Wow.
But it was leaving.
Oh.
And it completely shut down. That curtain, that veil came down and never went back up.
Oh.
And it was within weeks, I was 13 years old, within weeks of that happening, I was abruptly taken from my home in the country and brought to city, brought to the inner environment. And I was taken away from the earth. But I understood years later that it had to be, because I would not have been able to survive in that inner city environment, open like that.
Yes.
In nature, with living amongst the trees and the forest and the woods and I was fine living in growing up in that environment and living in that way. I was fine to be open like that. It was safe for me to be so. But to be that open and to move into inner city it was no longer safe. And it was my higher self
Yes.
protecting me. It was a protection.
I was going to say, I could feel it's our higher selves. It was your higher self knowing that you were going to need a different set of skills where you were going
to survive.
Yes.
But it felt like a loss because and I was sad.
Yes.
And you know what? And when that veil came down, it caused me to forget who I was for a time. I stopped, and as I was taken out of the environment of Earth, being with Mama, and brought into the steel and concrete and all the rest and noise and
the loudness.
Brought into that, I began to very quickly forget where I had been.
It doesn't take much, does it?
No. And as I went deeper and moved out of my teen years into my 20s and went deeper into that world, that world of illusion, really.
Yes.
That covers up the truth.
Yes.
I began to I forgot who I was.
Yes.
And would you know, I forgot that I even had those visions. It was completely forgot that I even had them.
Isn't that amazing? The ability of our higher self to create that world for us that in a way protects us in that new experience you were having.
Yes.
Because to be remembering, I would have, in a sense, continued to re-traumatize you from what you had lost.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
And I was in a place and in a time in my life changed where I could not my life just took a very different direction.
Yes, yes.
As I became consumed by this 3D world that we live in, and you get a job and you're working and you're just, you're going to school and then you get a job and then you're doing all of those things that take you away from who you really truly are. And I completely bought into all of it.
Yes.
I did. I became the consumer. I became the materialistic one. I became another interpretation of myself.
Yes, another version. But don't you think, can I ask this? Don't you think that in this last cycle of time, because in many ways we're talking about the energies that I think are closing out of the separation time, but don't you think when we were birthed here this lifetime, we want to know that experience of ourselves as separate? That was something that we all came to know, and that we needed to experience ourselves in the contrast of that disconnected spiritual self, so we could experience what it was like to be separate and to be a consumer. Isn't that part of the journey that we came for?
Yes, we are going through and reflection. I can see that when I stepped out of the loving embrace of Mother Earth.
Yes.
And stepped into the material world that has been created over top of Mama.
Yes.
I agreed from within myself to go into that place of forgetting.
Yes.
And step into the experience of what it means to be a human being in this world.
Yes.
And it caused fear in me I was afraid to leave Mama, but I had agreed to do so.
Yes.
I was sorrowful. To leave behind that deep, beautiful connection.
Yes.
But I did.
Yes.
To experience this world that we are in.
Yes.
That is so full of that which takes us away from ourselves. our
Yes.
true nature. I agreed to step into that. And I also agreed that at some point I would come back out of it.
You would return.
I
Yes.
would return to Mama.
Yes.
I would return. And in 1990 is when that a spiritual experience occurred that brought me back.
Yes.
And so there was a healing season, because we're talking more than 30 years that I fell asleep.
Right.
I fell asleep for more than 30 years.
You went deep into it. Yes.
I very much went deep into it. And there was a healing season that it took me to come back up out of that and retrieve those memories of who I was as a child, retrieve the truth of why I came here, what I was doing here. That there was a season and that season was 8 years for me.
Yes.
Of retreat, spiritual retreat. And yet all of it, I feel that was the journey that I agreed to take. I agreed with Mother Earth. I agreed that I would forget her for a time.
Yes.
That I would come back to her, because when in the forgetting, I developed gifts and higher understanding.
Yes.
So that when I was ready to become a helper, I get it.
Yes.
When someone comes to me who has forgotten, I get it, because I was in that.
Yes.
In that field, in that mode of forgetfulness, where you're so deep in the muck that you just lose complete touch with who you are and why you're truly here. And I get what it takes to come out of it.
Yes, and what your true power is and where it comes from. You
Absolutely
need to know that. You needed to know that. Yes.
Yes, and to understand the human condition and how we separated ourselves from creation, and the earth.
Yes.
What that is, how that happened.
Yes.
And how we are to return now.
Yes.
I brought myself through this life experience so that I could be ready to help and serve, because I brought myself through all those levels of being upon the earth where we have gone into separation, and now we are coming back out of it. And as I was coming up out of it, Mama brought to me this powerful, beautiful way to help with that for those that may wish to explore that. But we are now collectively coming up out of it.
Yes.
We are collectively being brought out of that deep place of deep unconsciousness.
Yeah, the amnesia of who we are. Yes.
Absolutely. And we are being restored.
Yes.
Cell by cell, molecule by molecule, atom by atom, we are being reborn.
Yes, from the inside out.
Absolutely. And the rebirthing is being directed by the intelligence within the earth itself.
Yes, exactly.
And so that is why when we reharmonize ourselves with the earth and those inner earth frequencies, that we are able to fully come back into the grandeur that Source Creator made us to be.
Yes.
And as I began to reclaim my connection with the earth, I began to reclaim and understand and remember my connection with Source Creator. And it's all part of the oneness.
It is. And the wholeness. Yes.
And Mother Earth, she is herself being reborn.
Yes.
There is a rebirth that is occurring. And my guides refer to it, the ancient ones refer to it as this is the time of the renewal.
Yes.
The earth is being renewed, and so are we. And our connection with that, we can support and help the rebirth to come into its full expression, its full potential, if we will align with the earth in this time and remember our deep, deep connection with the earth and align with that and bring that out as part of the expression of who we are. When we align with our brothers and sisters, the trees.
Yes.
When we align with our family, those who swim, those who crawl, those who walk, and
Yes.
those who fly, they are family.
Yes.
They are part of the earth as we are. And that in realignment with that connection, we come back into the wholeness of who we are. It is not only intended or meant for those who are shamans.
No.
Right?
Exactly.
You don't leave it over there and say, well, that's
not
their
for me.
Journey.
Yes.
That's not for me. It is absolutely for you. It is for us all.
Yes.
It is important for people to understand that. Do not separate yourself from nature by thinking that, oh, it's for the shamans, it's for the channelers, it's for those that are
already connected. Yes.
Born out into nature. No, it is for us all. We each have that in connection, and it is just as important for you as it is for your sister. It is for your neighbor. It is for us, your relatives. It is for us all. That important connection is happening, this rebirth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything that you're sharing, I see my story and your story in my own way. And I'm sure that many of our listeners can too. We all have stories where somehow as a child, we felt some kind of connection. And when I think about my childhood, two little stories that I can share really quickly stand out when I listen to how you were born and connected with nature. And I was not born into an indigenous culture. I was born in Pennsylvania to a family who our ancestry is English and German, and
Yes.
Right. And so, but my family, when I was younger, had a farm. We didn't live on the farm, but we owned a farm, and it was about 80 acres. And we would go there on the weekends. And one of my favorite things to do, my parents, I think, rented the farmland to a farmer who actually farmed the land.
Yes.
And he planted corn. And I love to go and walk these long rows of corn. And I have these deep, vivid memories of just getting, I would say, lost in the cornfields, but I wasn't lost.
Yes.
I would venture into the cornfields purposefully and immerse myself in that energy. And when I would go deep into these rows of corn, I was connected with something so much bigger than myself. And there was this like happy feeling inside me that I was the most at home inside myself that I felt normally in my family and in school at that time. I was probably 4, 5, 6, or 7 at this point. And one of the things that I remember, which I don't know of anybody who lives on farmland or has had that experience, but crystals, literally smoky quartz crystals, would pop out of the ground where the corn stalks came out of the ground. And so I would walk these rows of corn and connect and find these crystals that would have been unearthed by the corn's birth into the world. And I would collect these crystals. Again, my family wasn't connected to crystals or understanding that there's divine intelligence and all these things. But I knew there was some kind of energy and magic in that connection. And so I felt like somebody who was a little treasure seeker, and I was collecting light when I would go into the cornfields and have this experience. And that was just, I can close my eyes even today and feel what I felt like as a child then. And that's just one story that I have. But another story was more of a traumatic experience. I think it was around the same age, probably 7, 8, or 9 at the time. And my parents and I and my brother, we were driving home from a trip we'd taken, and we were almost home, and we were going up this huge hill in Pennsylvania. And I think the driver coming the opposite way, I'm not quite sure what was going on with them, but they had crossed over into our lane. So they were speeding towards like a direct hit to our car.
Oh.
And we actually had a head-on collision. They hit our car. And of course, everybody was dealing with the aftermath. I was fine in that experience. But my first instinct was to get out of my little car seat. And a plant my grandmother had given us, we had just visited her, had tipped over in the accident. And my first experience in that accident was, my only thought was that I needed to connect with this plant. So there's like, police have been called and emergency rescue vehicles have been called, and there's all this chaos going on around me. And I didn't really feel or tune into any of that. I just connected with this plant and in some way knew that that was helping myself and helping everybody in the experience. And I nurtured that plant, and I have very different memories of that whole experience. If you were probably to ask my mother or my brother or my father their experience of that day, it was probably riddled with a lot of trauma. But I just felt peaceful and serene. And I wasn't hurt, but I felt that plant medicine supporting all of us in some way. And even though I didn't consciously know how that was happening, I didn't even have the words for it. I just knew that that's what I needed to do. And I think that same kind of experience that I had in the cornfield and that I had with that plant and that car accident experience, when I went through my own awakening process, again, I didn't know consciously what I was doing, but I listened for the summoning that was happening. And I listened for where I was called to be. And I just took the next step and the next step, trusting that I was being connected with what I needed at the time to begin to heal and to begin to remember. And for anybody that's listening, some of what both Selina and I are talking about today is just allowing yourself to listen at that in a different way than the busy 3D world in our lives is asking us to pay attention. And there's a roadmap inside us to this form of deeper connection, whether it's a bee that buzzes into your world on your lunch break and you say, oh, look at that bee. In the 3D world, or you might swat at the bee, because that's what our 3D selves would think to do. It needs to get out of the way. But our deeper selves know these are messages. This is the experience of nature and the interconnectedness of all life, inviting us to reconnect with the deeper intelligence all around us, no matter what we're experiencing. And so I think it's a call to pay attention. Who just buzzed into your world? Right? Is there a tree next to you that might have a message for you? Maybe you can speak to that a little bit more, Selina, about how people can listen. As a child, I knew that the plant was talking to me in that accident, and that the corn was speaking to me and the crystals were talking to me, even though I didn't know really what that meant.
Yes.
But as an adult, when I was going through a great trauma, I was invited to listen in that way again, like I had remembered listening as a child. Only now, as an adult, I started to have the language that I knew I needed that support, and that those messages were coming to find me. And I could relax inside myself to become willing to listen in that different way. What is B trying to tell me? What are the trees offering to me when I was filled with anxiety or worry or fear or trauma? They were so calm, and they had messages of love for me. And just being around them before I could actually hear them, just being with them, gave me some of the medicine that I was needing. And I wonder, maybe, Selina, if you could speak to someone who's listening and saying, that sounds really nice, but I don't know that that would happen for me.
Yes.
What could you say that is a way that they can open to listening?
Wonderful question.
Yeah.
So one time when I was a child living amongst amongst the trees with nature, living out on the earth. You know, we didn't have, for a long time in my family, we didn't have, that I was being raised in, I was raised in foster care. We didn't have an indoor plumbing. We had an outhouse, and we had a well. And so we were living very close to the earth in that way.
Yes, yes.
And so it was very, and I'm so grateful for that now, to have had that humble beginning of being close to the earth as a way of life. Yes. And one day, I have a twin, and one day where we were, it was lots of aunties and relatives nearby, and our cousin came over to play, and I have a twin brother, and it was the two boys, and I wanted to play with them. They didn't want to play with me. So what they, boys, they don't want to play with girls, right? Yes. And so what they did was they lured me deep into the woods in the back of the house, and they tied me to a tree.
Oh, no.
And took off so that they could go play without me following them, right? And magic happened for me on that day.
Wow.
Because that tree, this beautiful tree that they tied me to, became a best friend.
Yes.
The love that was coming to me from this tree, I couldn't understand it. I didn't have the words. I didn't know, but I could feel this tree was my friend.
Yes.
This tree was my friend, and I was happy there playing by myself with the tree.
Yes.
I was happy. I was joyful. I was peaceful in amongst those trees. There was no fear.
No.
It was the forest just gathered around me, and just all I could feel was love.
Yes.
And so in response to your question, one must enter into those realms willingly.
Yes.
Bring yourself there. Bring yourself into the forest.
Yes.
Don't keep it outside of you. Go to where the trees are. Go to stand next to the river. Go to the sea and sit by the sea, or if you're in a climate where you can dive in.
Yes.
But go to where nature is.
Yes.
And be without expectation or I have to figure this out. Oh, don't worry about how it's going to happen. It's natural.
Yes.
This isn't something you need to force from yourself. It will happen naturally.
Yes.
If you will simply go and open your heart and say, trees, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't got a clue what's going on.
Exactly.
But I wish to be close to you.
Yes.
I wish to know you.
Yes.
Mother Earth, I don't know. I've never done this before. I don't know. But put your hands on the earth and just say, Mother Earth,
yes.
I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to try. I wish to open my heart to you and for us to have a closer connection.
Yes.
Because it's my birthright for it to be so.
Yes.
Start there at the beginning.
Yes. And believing that you have the intelligence inside that knows the language that is different than any English language or German language or Spanish language, whatever language you might speak. It is a universal intelligence language that you are born and wired and designed with. It just needs to come back alive.
Right. And I'm going to say for those that are really starting right from the beginning, even if you don't necessarily believe, it's okay.
Yes.
That you can start with just, you know what, I'm here, I'm showing up.
Yes.
I'm open, I want to try. And start there and just let the intelligence within you help you to make that reconnection. You see a nice shiny rock or something that catches your eye, pick it up.
Yes.
Take it home and sit with it. Just sit in meditation with it. You know, if you just start there, just start at the beginning. Start and just if you spend 20 minutes in the forest of trees, you
Yes.
will feel different.
Yes.
You'll feel different. You don't need to have the words to be able to explain it.
No.
It just allow that that's what is.
You let it
And
wash
let that be
through you. Yes.
Yes, let that become an experience for you.
Yes.
And if you will do that, if you will have regular visits with nature, you will start to feel it. It will come, and the connection will come, and it will get stronger and stronger and stronger. If you will open your heart and say, you know what, nature, to all of nature that surrounds me,
yes,
I come in peace.
Yes. Yes.
Simply say those words.
Yes.
To all of nature that surrounds me, I come in peace.
Yes.
And be peaceful. Just let yourself relax and just hang out. No pressure, no expectation. I come in peace. Breathe in that good air. Touch the trees. Put your palms up against the trees and breathe in that good tree oxygen. That trees are wonderful at providing us with good, clean air. Breathe that air in that they send out. They take in all the guck and they convert it back into good, clean energy and send it out to us. Breathe that in.
Yes.
Try to find, older trees, mature trees, and sit with them. But give yourself the gift of reclaiming your deep connection with nature.
Yes.
Give that to yourself. You cannot go wrong. You cannot. And let that, and if you're able to, remove your shoes and experience the earth with your bare feet.
Yes.
Let that energy come up into you.
Yes.
Let it be. I loved running around in bare feet, and it's my favorite thing.
Yes.
And there are people that are talking about that. Oh, you're walking in bare feet. It does so much for you, as if it's a thing. It's always been a thing. It's a natural part of who we are.
Yes.
And I will share, I think I help me to remember. Did I share with you about Wolf coming to me and sharing with me in a dream, and I touching the paws of Wolf?
No, I don't think so. You haven't shared that.
I will share it with those. Yes, I will share this with you. So, Wolf appeared to me in a dream. And so beautiful, this wolf, so beautiful and powerful. And so beautiful that I couldn't resist. It's Wolf, so you want to be a little bit intimidated, but at the same time, I'm fascinated. I'm like, Wolf, like, oh my goodness, you're so beautiful. And I reached out to touch Wolf's paws, and I was stroking his paws. They just fascinated me, the paws. And I said, Wolf, your paws, they're so soft. And Wolf looked at me deep into my eyes and responded, they help me to walk softly upon the earth.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And so, that's what I mean. When we reconnect with nature,
yes,
and open ourselves to the possibility that there is an intelligence within nature,
yes,
that we can access, that we can tap into, we can learn the wisdom teachings that nature has to offer us. And Wolf showed up in my life that day.
Yes.
To teach me something important about walking softly upon the earth.
Yes.
And the purpose of that particular dream was to help me to soften my words.
Yes.
The way I speak with kindness.
Yes.
Be gentle in your approach to others.
Yes.
Not to be harsh, but to speak in gentle tones, to speak with kindness. That was the message behind to help me to walk softly. Walk softly upon the earth.
Yes.
Do not be, if you let go of anger, let go voice that is loud and abrupt.
Yes.
Speak in gentle tones.
Yes.
You will attract so much goodness to yourself that way.
Yes.
When you speak gently and with kindness and with goodness. And if you find yourself stepping out of that, go and sit with the trees until it comes back.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It does not serve us to walk around abrupt and angry. And we use that as a defense oftentimes.
Yes.
Understand where that's coming from. It's a defense mechanism, like, don't hurt me. I'm going to growl at you so that you will, and put my defense up so that you won't
harm me,
be insulting to me or mean to me, or I'm going to just set my parameters here by being growling, because I was that way.
Yes.
And Wolf wanted to help me to understand another way that I could be, so that I didn't have to feel so afraid. By that time, of 30 years of forgetting, I had become abrasive. I had become very fearful of the world and walking in the world. I didn't trust.
Yes.
And Wolf was helping me to gently come back to the truth of my true nature.
Yes, and to remember.
And to remember the gentleness, the softness that's how we can live, and why it's helpful to be that way. What does that bring us?
Yes.
When we walk softly upon the earth, there's many realms to that message. We walk softly upon the earth because then the earth doesn't, need to be afraid of us. If you go stomping into the woods and you're lashing and snapping and out there killing things just for sport, nature's not going to want to be so kind. Back.
Yes.
Do you understand? But when we walk in and when we first approach the forest, when we first approach to all of nature that surrounds me, I come in peace. You are setting a tone and setting yourself to have a wonderful experience. Or when you go to sit at the river, or to the river before me, I come in peace. To the sea, you step in the water and you say, I come in peace. And you do no harm.
Yes.
Don't throw garbage.
Yes.
It is an assault to the senses of the earth. Don't throw garbage. Pick up garbage that you find.
And to ourselves. So when we're casting garbage out, we're casting it upon ourselves.
Yes.
And we cast the peace and we send a willingness of peace. We're manifesting that for ourselves.
We're sending that out. Yes. And the universe will send back more of that in return.
Yes.
And when I walk out into nature, when I'm walking by the river, walking next to the sea, the fairies are always asking me, please take this garbage with you. Like when you go into the forest, I take garbage out with me because it's offensive. There's an energy attached to it that is very harmful, that is very negative.
Yes.
If you can bring a bit of garbage out, if you're walking, going on a nature trail and you see a bit of garbage, take a little bag with you and pick up some garbage. It is noticed. It is appreciated.
Yes.
The Earth Mother does notice. Be kind to her.
That kindness ripples. Yes, it ripples into the world.
Yeah, it ripples out into the world and it's magnified, the ripple.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So when you ask who of Mother Earth, she is an sentient being. She's aware. She is aware. She is aware. There's an intelligence, and we can connect. And if we will allow ourselves, we can commune with nature in a way that is going to help us. Because the stronger we reconnect with nature, the more our inner nature of wholeness and good health comes out, is revealed, because it's harmony. When I spent over the summer 4 months visiting the mountaintop.
Yes.
And you cannot help but attune to the power and the majesty of nature when you're out in that environment.
Yes.
And yet we don't need to go only to the mountaintop to experience that. Wherever you are, where you live, if you live in the city, find a park near where you are. Or if you live in, or you're blessed to live out in nature, go with the intention to come in peace and to be open to the deeper realms of reality that are in nature. Those realms of oneness and harmony and playfulness that connect us. It's very powerful, and it will bring you a greater sense of self. It helps to open up our inner connection to all that we are as soul, as divine spirit, because our spirit knows nature. So when you want to feed your soul, you want to feed your spirit, go sit in nature.
Yes.
And harmonize with that. It will help to open you up exponentially. It really is something simple, and yet it's the truth.
Yes.
Of who we are.
Yes. That was perfect. That was beautiful, Selina.
Yeah.
Yes. I so much to feel and to take in this message today for all of us, wherever we are in the world. We've had some snow recently, and I'm looking outside at the trees and the snow on the ground, and there's so many beautiful ways we can connect with nature. And when we're connecting with nature's amazing intelligence, we're connecting with the amazing intelligence inside ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if as you develop this remembrance.
Yes.
As it's being developed, we can nurture that along. Bring nature into your home.
Yes.
Bring that nice rock that you found at the beach that you just couldn't resist. Bring it in and sit with it. Don't just put it over in a corner. Sit and hold it.
Right.
Allow the frequency, because it is a frequency. Allow that frequency to merge with your frequency.
Yes.
And ask for help. Like, hey, I want to get closer to nature, and allow that to be something. If you see something that particularly attracts you, and then when it's done, return it back to nature. When you feel, okay, I've gotten all that I am to receive, return it back.
Yes.
Don't hoard these things, but bring it back. But, and that could take years.
Yes.
Right?
There's a right timing. Exactly.
Yes. And so we're attracted to nature. How many of us love crystals and love stones and rocks? And I love going and gathering seashells. And I wear shells in my hair.
Wow. That's awesome.
I carry the frequency of the sea with me.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, beautiful. Yes.
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 I carry the frequency.
Yes. Yes. Frequency. It's an energy that you embody and you carry with you everywhere you go.
And when I was doing, I will often enter into ceremony, and I carry a ceremonial sacred bundle. And we may talk about that another time, what that means. But for now, just know when my guides, when the ancient ones, when I connect with them and I'm entering into ceremony, they will often give me instructions. And one time they said, we want you to braid a sweetgrass into your hair.
Wow. Wow.
As an example of us getting closer to nature. Wear stones, like a beautiful pendant of a stone that you love. Wear it. Don't just
Yes.
wear it on occasion, but wear that, or
And
a
connect with it.
bracelet, and
Yes.
connect with that, and
Yes.
sit with stones and crystals that you find. Sit with them. Bring nature to you and
Yes.
connect from within.
Yes. Make
and
it
allow,
meaningful. Make it
yes,
meaningful.
and be willing to go into deeper relationship with
Yes.
nature.
Yes.
And when you're ready, understand that we can bring ourselves through bringing in a meditative state of consciousness.
Yes.
We can bring ourselves even deeper into the intelligence of nature, the healing power of nature, and we can connect in those deeper ways. And
yes,
it is worth the journey.
yes,
And it is time. It is time now for us to awaken consciously to those realms of consciousness where our intelligence and the intelligence of nature are one.
yes.
I sat down by a beautiful place where I live here. I'm very blessed to live near the sea, and I'm very blessed to have ancestral land here. And I go and sit with the ancestors, and I sit with them by the sea, and I put up a tent, and I'm going to just sit on the beach, and I'm sleep on the beach. No expectation other than I will sit there in prayer.
Yeah.
And open myself up to whatever may be. And I'm sitting, planning to stay the night. I put my tent up, my sleeping bag, and I'm all good to go. And I'm blessed with a visit by my ancestors. And what they said to me was, "We are in the trees." Oh, well, that was what a message to receive. We are in the trees.
Gosh, so beautiful.
And so what I wish for you to know, that this time of separation, we are bringing our hearts back into one, not only with Creator Source, but also with nature. We must come back into harmony and oneness with nature.
Yes.
Because you know what? There is medicine there for us. There is healing for us there.
Yes, healing medicine for sure.
And after the following morning, after I did ceremony, the ancestors said, "Now go pack up your things, pack up your tent, put everything away in the car, and then we want you to take your journal with you and pen, and bring yourself to the trees," because I've been sleeping on the beach, but they wanted me to go into the forest. And they said, "And now bring yourself and go and talk to the trees." And I thought, talk to the trees? Oh my goodness, I'm feeling the pressure of that. Like, like, how am I going to do that? Oh, I don't know if I can do that. I can do it just kind of organically, but I don't know if I can just go and do it. Like, but I trusted. I packed everything up, and I'm nervous. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the ancestors are asking this of me. But I went and I sat. I found a circle of trees that I kind of appealed to me, and I sat there and I said, "I'm here. I come in peace. It's good to be with you." And I mean, literally, it poured out of me, page after page after page, Marie.
Wow, I bet.
Of teachings from the trees.
Wow. They love to talk to us.
They love us.
Yes.
They love us. They love us. Despite all the harm humanity has done to nature, they have so much love for us still. And if we will come in a humble way and connect, they will respond with that love.
Yes.
If we will send love out to them, they will respond with that love. And we simply need to give love a chance.
Yes.
The love that we have for let's say if you have, we all, perhaps many of us have creatures that our favorite cat or dog, or we have animals living with us. We love our dogs. We love our cats. Well, they're part of nature. But if
Yes.
we take that love that we have for ourselves, for our family, and expand it to include nature when we practice meditation or say a prayer, expand it to include nature.
Yes.
It will build, and we will build a relationship that is so profoundly satisfying and fulfilling.
Yes.
Because we're coming back into our true nature of who we are, which is one with nature. We separated ourselves as a human species, and we became separate. And I believe that my life and how my life unfolded, where I began one with Mother Earth and got separated from her. It was a family decision to move to the city of Toronto. That was not my choice, but it was my destiny.
Yes.
And by going, and I was shown the separation of humanity because I went in there to that separation.
Yes.
And I believe, absolutely, and I believe that Mother Earth promised me in her own way, I will come and get you, daughter.
Yes.
I will come and get you.
Yes.
You will not stay there.
Yes.
And I was retrieved.
Yes.
And so ask for the retrieval. I'm ready to step out into the truth of who I am, into all that I am, into my truth as a being of light.
Yes.
As a being of nature.
Yes.
I'm ready to be that again.
Yes.
And see what magic shows up in your life.
Yes.
We are cosmic beings. We are beings of nature, of the universe. And we are coming back into that. And yes, it is allowing that possibility, the willingness to venture into those realms simply by calling out to the universe, calling out to the earth, calling out to the trees, and saying, I am ready now.
Yes.
What do you have for me now? I am ready, for I am ready. And allow that to show up in your life.
Yes.
Allow that to show up.
Yes. It's an inviting it in again.
Yes.
Yes.
And it can happen in a burst. It's like a dam being burst open.
Yes.
It's like when I opened my heart, oh my goodness, it just came so strong.
Yes.
And it was, Mama was right there, holding me, speaking to me, embracing me, reminding me, helping me to remember. The trees were there, and the dreams came.
Yes.
Where Wolf was coming to me in dreams, and Bear came to me, and oh my goodness, it was like we're not separate anymore. I'm with you, family.
That's
right. I'm with you. So, and it may not happen overnight. It may not happen in a fortnight. It will come.
Yes.
It will come.
Yes.
It will come.
Because it never left. It never left. It just went behind that curtain.
Yes.
That's all.
It went behind the curtain.
Yes.
And so with our hearts, taking nice deep breaths and sending out that call to creation, I am ready now. I am ready. And letting and we are not alone. We have guides, and I'm going to talk about guides perhaps another time. But just whoever the beings of light are, whoever my animal helper is, I'm ready to be with you now. If we haven't met before, or maybe you've tried to get my attention, maybe I didn't realize that was you, but I am ready now. Maybe, you've seen this one particular bird just keep showing up and showing up and showing up. And you're like, Oh, is that why you've been trying to get my attention?
Yes.
Because we're best friends.
Yes.
You know me.
Yes.
You know me.
Yes.
And respond, I am ready now.
Yes.
You keep seeing a bird show up, or, a particular animal that, you go into the woods and so how come I'm always seeing deer when I'm driving down the highway? Why am I always seeing them? Well, maybe they're wanting to get your attention.
Yes. Yes, it's your family returning. They know you even if you've forgotten them, and they come for you when it's time.
Oh,
They do.
They do. They will come, and they are seeking to support us and assist us and to show the way.
Yes.
And it's very exciting. And
yes.
it is for us all.
Yes. All of us.
All of us. It is for us all. This is not this is a natural part of the Indigenous way of being. It has always been so. And
yes.
as we moved away from Indigenous way of living and moved into the modern era, shall we say,
yes,
and became part of that era, but our roots,
yes,
our beginning is with the earth. All of us. All of us can go back in our ancestral lineages back to when we had that harmony with nature, and we can reclaim it.
Yes.
And we are being asked to reclaim it. Mother Earth is asking her children, remember me, remember me, remember me. I am right here as I have always been.
Yes. Beautiful. Selina, that was such a good sharing today. It was so rich with that reconnection energy. I feel so blessed by it. And I'm so glad that anyone that tunes in, today when we post this, or, that finds us at a later time, this information is timeless.
Yes.
Nature is timelessly waiting for you to say, I am ready, I am willing. I wonder if you could lead us in a closing message, Selina, for today.
Yes, I will. So, everyone, if you would join me with just taking a few nice deep breaths. And I send out this message to the Earth Mother, who I know as Mu, ancient Earth, and the new Earth as one. To all of nature that's surrounding each one who's hearing this message today, I acknowledge you. I acknowledge my oneness with you. And I acknowledge your oneness with each who have gathered here in this way of connecting and communicating through this podcast. We send out the call beyond, out across the earth. Join us, relatives. Help remember that we are all related. We are all family. In helping us to remember, we give thanks. We give thanks that nature has never forgotten our place. And in our remembering, we come back together as one. So I give thanks for this moment, and I give thanks for the wisdom within the trees, within the waters, within the earth that is being shared. And so it is.
Beautiful. Thank you. And so it is. Thank you, Selina, Earthkeeper and Ancient Healer. You can find more about Selina and her work at www.whiteturtlemedicinelodge.com. You can connect with her on Facebook at Earthkeeper Selina Mu, and you can email her directly at selina@whiteturtlemedicinelodge.com. I'll include all of that information in the comments and description section below this video. And to sign up to receive notifications about the latest offerings by Whole Soul School and Foundation, please visit our website at www.wholesoulschoolandfoundation.org. You can also find us on YouTube at Whole Soul School and Foundation. And we thank you for being with us today. Selina, I wanted to just leave a little bit of space and time here at the end to mention, can you describe a little bit about the immunization work you are especially helping people with at this time?
Right. Yes. Thank you. In my connection with nature, I have opened up into those pathways, those realms of communication with nature. And so my animal guides that are around me, one of them is Queen Mother Bee. And she has come forward as one who was a natural healer. And bee medicine, as some of you may know, is very powerful medicine. And yes. Propolis and organic natural honey, and these are powerful immune boosters. Well, Queen Bee herself has offered to come forward and bring a blessing to boost our immune systems. And I'm able to connect with her and bring her to you, and then from within those spiritual realms, if you will,
yes,
those realms of non-separation, to bring her to you, to gather, to bring a blessing to you, to help build and strengthen your immune system. There are so many pathogens and viruses and flus and all kinds of things going on. And this is a wonderful, powerful way,
yes,
that has been brought to me through Queen Mother Bee. And now the ancient forest of trees are joining with her as well to help build the immune system. There's a session that I offer to connect you with this.
yes.
And it's done by donation. And if any would like information or think this is something that you would like to consider, it's very powerful. Please reach out to me. I welcome you, your questions or requests.
Wonderful. And is the best way to reach you, is it through the email for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, or Messenger, Facebook Messenger. I can reach me through that as well.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah, I do respond.
I'm so grateful for the work you do. I'm myself am excited to learn more about the bee medicine.
Yes.
Yes, to help me and my family. So thank you. Thank you for everybody tuned in to this conversation today. Join us again in another 2 weeks. And we hope everyone has a beautiful day. Love and blessings.